Do you have a big problem and want to fix it? Maybe you have failed at accomplishing a big goal before. Maybe you feel like you're not progressing enough towards achieving a goal. Maybe you're wondering why things just don't work out the way you'd hope, even if you like the team of people you work with. All too often, with the best of intent, many weeks, months, and even years of planning and action goes unfulfilled. Maybe some of you never give up because the mission is just that important. Honorable, yet still proving inefficient. Now, I'm not saying that during that time you have not learned a thing or two and getting better at it, but you have to be real about measuring your progress or you will fail to understand why you're not there yet. What is the turnover in your organization? Do supporters come and go? Or are you growing faster than you are losing people because they are losing interest or giving up? These are important questions to address. If you're not growing, you are dying. First, we need to address the scale of the problem. I like to use economics' point of view to illustrate this. This calculation is not going to be perfect, and some of the values have to be assumed. So what if the problem or change we're going after has an estimated value of $1 million? What if it's 10 million? Or maybe $1 billion, or $100 billion? Don't underestimate the scale of changing something big will have on the economy. We are the economy after all. Rich or poor, a lot of numbers will be affected even if you don't see it. This effect will have varying degrees of resistance. You will have to do your best to foresee and manage these unknown variables. Let's get our minds on this scale by converting this into man-hours. After all, everything that has a value is just someone's time. Resources are only worth the market value of the time we spend to get it. The earth does not ask for money in exchange for its stuff. The value of every dollar amount in existence is the sum of its labor multiplied by supply and demand, equalizing to its industry of scale. Now let's assume the average labor cost in society is $25 an hour. We take 100 billion and divide that by 25 to equal 400 million man hours. Now that's a lot of time. 45,662 years, or around about the time we consider the start of the Stone Age. So the next time you hear any number around 100 billion, you now have an idea of how big that number is. Anytime you want to do anything efficient, you need to know your bottlenecks and be thinking leverage. How can you multiply your efforts to make it more productive? 10 to 1, 100 to 1, 1,000 to 1, 10,000 to 1. Now I like big numbers. Let's assume for our illustration we are the experts at what we do and we use a 10,000 to 1 ratio of leverage. So let's take that 400 million man hours and divide that by 10,000 to come to 40,000 leverage man hours to solve our $100 billion problem. Now convert that 40,000 man hours back into a monetary terms, multiplying it by $25 an hour. We need a budget of $1 million. How long are we going to have to implement the plan to solve this problem? Well, let's give ourselves a year. So we need people's time. If they are working a 40-hour work week, they put in about 2,100 hours a year. We're going to need 19 full-time people for 1 year with a $1 million budget to solve a $100 billion problem. Now these 19 people get broken down into a variety of services and tools we need to implement the plan. Anywhere from computers, tools, advertising campaigns, whatever assets we need to make the plan work, including consultation in other fields such as legal coverage. Lawyers are not cheap. This will be fulfilled in large by the resources available and leveraging the collective expertise of our economy with more entities than we can list here. But these numbers are a little generous. What if we're only leveraging 1,000 to 1? We would need a team of 190 full-time workers for 1 year to make this work with a $10 million budget. Discouraged about these large numbers? Don't be. Problems of this magnitude get solved every year. The world will keep spinning no matter what happens. It just takes more time and resources to make it work. But don't be surprised to hear that most ideas never work because they just never had enough proper leverage behind it. They don't have to be billions of dollars in scale. There are many smaller problems we face in our daily lives, but they will take up time and resources to accomplish. It all comes down to a plan. The more detailed and thought out a plan is, the better its odds of success. Worried about the money? Don't be. Well, unless you don't have a plan. Money is just a tradable exchange of people's time. Information is where the true power is. If you have the information and it's well organized and fulfills a map to your goals and people can support it, there will be money. There may be resilience, you may have to make some adjustments along the way, but ultimately a golden plan will overcome any and all obstacles, including funding. War is the perfect environment to test the strength of good planning processes. A lot has to be figured out for its victory. With a solid plan, you can conquer stronger opponents that may have more resources to battle you with. For good or bad purposes, the plan is the key to its success. The ingredients to a successful plan is collecting and organizing information. If you have any interest in solving any problems, you need to be educated in how to apply proven strategies in a process that will fulfill those goals. You have to be proactive in your approach. Reactive planning is doomed from the start. Don't fall victim to having too much pride in running things out of the seat of your pants. Accept that the goal may be larger than you, and you will have to have the help of many other professions to leverage the planning to achieve the outcome. At the start, there's a lot of work that has to be done that mostly goes unseen. It's only at the end, when the goal nears or finishes completion, do you see the fruits of your labor paying off. Think of this like being on an exponential graph. You only see the end when it's nearing its completion, but over time, it looks flat with little progress. In that time, you're planning and organizing and simply setting up the dominoes for the main event. Taking care of the details you won't have time for later. Don't underestimate the size of your goals. Do plan in detail and give yourself enough time to figure out what might go wrong and have plans in place for that. Most of what you see is only 10% of the effort. 90% of the success of a plan is done well in advance. If you come up last minute hoping to make a bang, you're only going to bust yourself. Plan big and plan bigger than that, and hope somewhere in between is all you need to achieve what you're after.